I started this book before, but I couldn't complete it because of life, complications. But today I wanna start from the beginning. The idea is to go chapter by chapter and do all the exercises until we have a functioning web browser built with Python. I don't even know if I have the environment ready, but let's start. So let's go here to the first section, downloading web pages. It explains what this web browser is, and what it does. Basically says that it displays information identified by URL. That's perfect. The first step is to use that URL to connect to and download information from a server somewhere on the internet. Perfect. And then the first step is connecting to a server. Browse the internet starts with an URL, and it has the scheme here, which is HTTPS. Then it has a host name, and then it has a path we want to access. So, well, this is pretty clear. And it says here that you can test this connection using the telnet program like this. So telnet example.org. Let's just move here to a terminal, and let's try this telnet example.org in port 80. Okay, so I did that. Perfect. I'm connected to example.org. Well, it tells you how to install telnet. I already have it, so I don't need that. And it tells you that the output I'm going to get is like this one, which I'm getting, so that's perfectly fine. So once it's connected, the browser requests information from the server by giving its path. Okay. The path being the part of a URL that comes after the host name, like index.html. So basically, if I'm correct, well, it timed out. But when I call this guy, I said, okay, I'm going to connect to this host, and I need to provide the URL. Okay, and the structure that you use for that is you have to specify the method, then the path, and then the version. And you have to pass a host again. Let's check that. So let's do it again. Telnet example.org 80. Okay, and now let's say I want to do a get of index.html. Then I'm going to use HTTP 1.0, I think. Yeah. And okay, it's going to wait for the host. Again, I don't know why, because I already passed it, but let's see. Host example.org. And now it's gonna, I need to pass a blank line. Okay, so after I did that, I'm gonna pass again. Get index.html. Then it was on HTTP 1.0. Then host is example.org, and then a black line. And that's perfect. It gave me the body, all the code of this web page. That if we go here, if we go to example.org, if I check the source, that's what I should get. So it should be the same. Yeah, it's the same. You see example domain, meta chart set UTF-8, blah, 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 background color, F0, F02, F2. Perfect. So that's how you download, you do a request to a web page, okay? So it tells you here that the server's response starts with the line in figure 3, which is HTTP 1.0 to 100. Okay. Do we have that? Let me see. Yeah. So at the beginning, I have the protocol used, the status code, and the meaning of that status code. That's perfect. That's what I wanted. And it displays here what this means. That it confirms that it also speaks HTTP 1.0 and that it found your request to be okay, which has a numeric code of 200. You might be familiar with 404 and blah blah blah. Okay, so it tells you here what the different status codes mean. 100 are for informational messages, 200 mean you're successful, 300 it's like redirect, 400 means you sent bad request, and 500 means that the server handled the request badly. That's perfect, yeah. After that line, the server is going to send its own headers, and the headers that we have, I think, are all of these guys here. Okay, and yeah. Okay, so this is a lot here. We have a lot of things to check here. But basically the most important is that we're getting a content type, content length, and last modified. Yeah, that's perfect. After this, the headers, it sends another blank line followed by a bunch of HTML code. This is called the body of a server response. And the browser knows that it is HTML because of the content type. So yeah, as we get content type, it says text HTML. We know that what comes here in the body is going to be HTML, basically. That's good. What else? Okay, so now we did all of this with the Telnet software. Now it's time to start coding this in Python. So for that, I'm going to clean this, and I'm going to create a dir. Oh, maybe I have one? No, let me create a dir for our browser. It's going to be called browser. And let's cd into it. Okay, and here, let's create the main.py. Sorry, let's touch main.py. And let's do neovim here. So main.py. Okay, here I am. And okay, let's start with parsing the URL. I'm going to have to make parsing URL return URL object, and I'll put the parsing code into the constructor. Okay, so let me see this. He starts by creating a class that is called URL, and it has a constructor def in it. Well, it receives a URL. Yeah, I know. Thanks. And okay, it explains that this is the syntax for Python constructor. Yeah, that's fine. And then what it does, it set the scheme. So the URL that you receive here, it gets the scheme for it, doing a split. So it was shown at the beginning. The scheme is actually the first part. Okay, this first part. So we need to do a split on this and get this part. So this is what he's doing here. So it says, okay, the scheme is going to be the result of the split based on this one, and I'm going to keep the first part, and the rest will go to URL again. So it's going to overwrite the URL with what is left from this operation. So let's check this. I'm going to say set.scheme, then URL equals URL.split on what? On this, and do it only once. Okay, let's save this, and now it checks asserts that the scheme has to be HTTP. This is just to make sure. I forgot the syntax. To make sure that we have HTTP, obviously. Oh yeah, sorry about that. So let me go here and perfect. So now that we have here this, it says we need to separate the host from the path. So again, we have the schema already. Now we need to separate this from this. Separately is going to do the same. So yeah, it actually does the same. So let's do self.host self.path. And I don't know if it okay, it doesn't do it like that. And then path. Okay, it's gonna append this bar, the slash, from what is left to what is left from the URL. Okay, perfect. Great. So now that the URL has a host and path fields, we can download the web page at that URL. So we'll do that in a new method request. I'm going to create that method here. This is going to be request, and it will have the URL. And what else does it have? That's it, not the URL, sorry. So once you have this, well, it explains here that you usually have the self parameter for methods in Python. In the future, we want to always do this. Okay, and that's fine. And so the first step to download a web page is connecting to the host. That's perfect. The operating system provides a feature called sockets for this. When you want to talk to other computers, either tell them something or you wait for them to tell you something, you create a socket. Okay, and then that socket can be used to send information back and forth. Sockets come in a few different kinds because there are multiple ways to talk to other computers. Okay, cool. So it tells you the socket has an address family, which tells you how to find the other computer. Address families have names that begin with AF. So we want AF INET. But for example, you have AF Bluetooth. Okay, cool. Socket has a family, address family, and it has a type, which describes the sort of conversation that's going to happen. So the types have names that begin with sock. We want sock stream, which means each computer can send arbitrary amounts of data. But there's also sock dgram, in which case they send each other packets of some fixed size. Okay, this is interesting. We need to learn this. So yeah, I'll have to memorize this somehow. And a socket has a protocol which describes the steps by which the two computers will establish a connection. So you know what? I don't want to forget about this. So I'm going to add all of this somewhere. Let me just type here. Let me write this because so we use socket to connect to another device, and let's yeah, to another computer, let's say. Okay, so then what else? We have what was it called? Address. Let's say they have address family, and it can be, for instance, they begin with AF, like AF INET, and AF Bluetooth. What else do they have? They have a type. Okay, address family tells you how to connect, to how to find the other computer. That's perfect. And then we have type. Tells you the kind of conversation you'll have. Like they begin with suck. For instance, suck stream means like no fixed size for the message. Let's say you have suck diagram packets of fixed size. And what else? Then it has a protocol. So this tells you the steps by which the two computers will establish a connection. Okay, so tells you how to establish a connection. So names depend on the address family. Names depend on address family. For instance, we have IP proto TCP. IP proto TCP. Perfect. Let me save this. And okay, so by picking all these options, we know that we can create a socket that will have family socket AFINet. Type is going to be socket sockstream, and proto is going to be socket.ip proto TCP. Okay, let's type this. So we said it's going to be like family will be, okay, no. I need to create the socket, sorry. So it's socket dot socket, okay. And then it's going to be family equals socket dot we said AF inet. Okay, now the type, was it? Yeah, type is going to be socket, and we said it's going to be sock stream. And then lastly, the protocol is going to be socket dot IP proto TCP. Let me see if I got this right. Okay, and it has an extra comma. I don't know why. Okay, it's complaining about the socket. So probably, where's the socket? What do I need to add here? Probably it's like I have to go here, and I have to do found socket import socket. Yep, that was it. Okay, so once I have a socket, I need to tell it to connect to the other computer. Like, once I have a socket, I need to tell it to connect to the other computer. For that, I need a host and a port. The port depends on the protocol you're using. For now, it should be 80. Perfect. So now let's do s connect, and let's pass the host and the port. Perfect. So let's use this s.connect, and I pass the self.host. No, host. What the? Okay, and the port is going to be 80. Let's go back, and yeah, that sounds good. Oh, you have to pass it. I understand now. You have to pass it as a tuple. Okay, so let's use double parentheses for that. So this is going to talk to example.org to set up the connection and prepare both computers to exchange data. So let me review the code a little bit here. So I have, when I call this class, when I instantiate this class, I'm going to pass a URL, and it's going to split that URL, and it's going to save the scheme on this variable, inside of this variable. Then it's going to save the host here. It's going to save the path here. So then I can call the request, and in the call, it's going to create a socket object, which is going to be using the family AF inet, and it's going to be using the type socket stream, and the protocol is going to be socket IP product underscore TCP. After that, it's going to connect. So once you have the sockets, you need to pass the host and the port. So I'm only using HTTP, and I'm using port 80. That will change in the future. Okay, cool. So we have that in place, and then we have a connection, and we need to make a request to the other server. To do so, we send it some data using the send method. Okay, so let me first type this. I'm going to type it. I'm not going to copy. So I need to do request equals get HTTP 1.0, and yeah, I need to pass this and this. This is to make a line break, and then I need to do format self.path. Let me try to understand this. Okay, so I'm creating the variable, and I'm saying it's going to be get. I don't know why it receives this, to be honest. Then I'm saying that the protocol is HTTP 1.0, or the version of the protocol, and then I'm creating a new line, and then I'm doing the format self.path. Oh yeah, I forgot about this. So, okay, this is replaced by this. So actually, I'm doing a get, and here goes the path, and this is the protocol and the version. And then I add the new line with the host, as we did on the telnet application before, and I'm passing the host here with this format self-host. So let's do that. So request, let's append host. Again, we do this, rn, we close it, and we say format, and we pass self.host. Okay, so, and then lastly, we pass an empty line. I'm going to add here this. I'm going to pass rn. And okay, you need to send this, but you need to encode. Let me see if this is no, it's request.encode, and it's going to be UTF-8. So let me review this. Yeah, this is perfect. I'm going to save this guy here. And okay, it explains everything we do here. Okay, we send the request to the server. It's very important to use rn instead of only n for new lines, so that you send a blank line at the end of the request. Perfect. Yeah. So let me check if this is correctly done. Yeah, we have it right. And also note the encode call. When you send data, it's important to remember that you're sending raw bits and bytes. They could form text or an image or video. Let me say that again. When you send data, it's important to remember that you're sending raw bits and bytes. They could form text or an image or a video. But a Python string is specifically for representing text. The encode method converts text into bytes, and there is a corresponding decode method that goes the other way. Perfect, understood. Python reminds you to be careful by giving different types to text and to bytes. Let me check that. Okay, got you. So if you run this, let's open a new prompt, and let's do type text. It's going to show you that the class of this variable is str, it's a string. But if you do that, but you encode it, like encode UTF-8, then it tells you it's bytes. That's perfect. Let's go back to the other one. Perfect. Then if you want to read the response, you could use a read function on sockets, which gives whatever bits of the response have already arrived. Okay, so we can call the read function. Then you write a loop to collect all those bits as they arrive. However, in Python, you can use the makefile helper function, which hides the loop. Perfect. So instead of doing a loop, I can call makefile. So let me do that. So I'm going to say response equals this makefile. I think it was. No, it's all together. And I'm saying it's going to be read and encoding UTF-8, and new line is going to be RN. Okay, that's fine. And here makefile returns a file-like object containing every byte we receive from the server. I'm instructing Python to turn those bytes into a string using the UTF encoding, or method of associating bytes to letters. I'm also informing Python of HTTP's weird line endings. Okay, perfect. So let's now split the response into pieces. The first line is the status line. Okay. So it's going to split it. Okay, that's perfect. So let's do that. Let's do it like this. Let's say status line equals response, which is this guy we just created here, dot read line. And then it's going to split the version, the status, and the explanation. This, let me check why we have this like that. So when we called this using telnet before, we got something like that looked like this. No, not this one. Let me just call it again because I want to understand this. So I did like this. Where are you? No, not this. Let me telnet example.org 80, and then I'm going to say, okay, get me index.html, and it needs to have like this, and use HTTP 1.0, and what else? I think that's it. But request, okay, no, it was not like that. So it's, oh yeah, it's get index.html, HTTP 1.0, and then host equals example.org, and port was 80. I don't think we have to pass it. Okay, we got it. So the first thing we had was the version of HTTP, then the status code, then the status description, let's say. So if I go like this here, so I'm getting the version, which is this one, then the status, then the explanation. So that's why it's doing that. So it's splitting that. Status line dot split, and it's okay. Let me see this. Oh, as it has a space between them, it's gonna only have 2 spaces. You say, okay, split by a space, but do it only twice. Okay, so perfect. Now we understand what it's doing. With that, as I said, note that I do not check that the server's version of HTTP is the same as mine. This might sound like a good idea, but there are a lot of misconfigured servers out there that respond in HTTP.1.1, even when you talk to them in HTTP.1.0. Okay, after the status line, you have the headers. So if we check, let me close this one. If we check here, after this line, we have the content type. Okay, so that's what this guy said. So, well, actually the headers. So we need to get them. Now, let me see if I understand that. So, okay. So it's going to create an empty dictionary here, and then it's going to loop. Okay, and for each iteration, it will read a new line of document until it gets to an empty line. Because if we remember, we have all these headers. We don't know how many headers we're gonna have, but we know that they will stop being sent when we have an empty line. So that's why it's doing that. Okay, so let's write that code. Okay, let's first create the empty dictionary. And now let's do the while. And let's say, let's call this line. Yeah, line equals response, response dot read line. And if line equals r in, then break. Okay, don't loop anymore. Okay, it's done in only one line. I didn't know you could do that. Oops. With Python. Let me save it, and now let me go up and check. Okay, and then it splits that line based on colon. Why? Because we always forget if this is a colon or semicolon, to be honest. So, but anyway, so here you have, yeah, because you have like the key and the value. So you're gonna split based on this. So let me see. Why it doesn't drop the spaces. Let's check this. So let's say like it's not liking this. I don't know why. But you know what? I don't care. I'm gonna break this here. Yeah. It is the same. I don't even know why this is complaining. Okay. Okay, perfect. So once it's split, now it's saying, okay, response header Here the case fold. Case fold, I don't know what it does. Probably it's like lowercase or something like that. I'm reading if it says anything. Yeah, it normalizes them to lowercase. Okay. I didn't know this was the way. I thought you had to make lower and pass the string as a parameter. And then it strips the values. I think this is like it strips off the extra white space at the beginning and at the end. So we do like this. Let me go here. And then it says, okay, response headers, which is this one. And it uses the header. What was the name for this? Case fold. As this is a dictionary, so this is the key. It's adding a new key, and it's assigning the value that you have here in the value dot strip, because you're getting rid of the white spaces. So with that, we have all the headers in place. Now, it says here that headers can describe all sorts of information, but a couple of headers are especially important because they tell us what the data we're trying to access is being sent in an unusual way. Let's make sure none of those are present. Okay, so transfer encoding, content encoding. What is this? Let's check what this is. I want to understand. Okay. I'm not sure I understand this. I don't care. That's fine. So we have to make sure these two are not there. Transfer encoding, content encoding. So let's add those asserts. Transfer encoding not in response headers, and also assert that content encoding not in response headers. And then it explains that the usual way to get the sent data then is everything after the headers. So yeah, as we saw previously, once you finish the headers, you have the content of the web page, which is the actual data we are receiving. So it just reads everything here and it stores it in the content variable or object. So let's do content equals response dot read data. So instead of using read line, it just reads everything. No, it's read. And then at the end, it says close the socket, and probably it will return that content. Yep. So that's what it does. Return content. And we are now good. Perfect. Well, here it explains what it does. Content encoded headers lets the content encoding header lets the server compress web pages before sending them. Okay, large text-heavy web pages compress well, and as a result, the page loads faster. The browser needs to send accept encoding header in its request to list the compression algorithms it supports. Transfer encoding is similar and also allows data to be chunked, which many servers seem to use together with compression. Okay, so probably something we shouldn't care about now at this moment. Okay, now lastly, let's display the HTML. So the HTML code in the response body defines the content you see in your browser window. When you go to http://example.org.index.html, so in HTML there are tags and text. Each tag starts with this and it ends with this. Generally speaking, tags tell you what kind of things some content is, while text is the actual content. Okay, perfect. Yeah, so basically this explains what you have inside of the tag, and the tag is the actual content. Okay, so it says here that to create our very, very simple web browser, let's take the page HTML and print all the text, but not the tags in it. Okay, so it's going to use new function for this. It's going to be called show body. Let's start writing this function. So okay, so here what it does is, okay, it has a flag in tag, it's set to false, and then it's going to loop. Like if you find C in body, what is C? Oh yeah, got it now. So it's going to loop on body, and it's going to assign that to the variable C. So if that variable equals this open tag, let's say, we change the flag to true, meaning that we are inside of a tag. Okay. If the value of this variable is this value, this symbol, it means we are not in the tag anymore. So now I'm going to set that to false. And then if we are not in a tag, print the content we have in this variable. This is cool. So let's implement this. So in tag equals false, and is it capital false? Yeah. Okay, so then we do like this. We say for C in body, if C equals this guy, then in tag equals true. If C equals this one, then in tag equals false. And I think it was an else. No, elif. Oh yeah, elif not in tag, then print C. And this I don't know what this is, to be honest. I think it doesn't add a new line. Yeah, that's what it does. And equals empty char. I said that code is pretty complex. I disagree. So it explains what it does. Then we can just load a web page, but just string it together, request and show. Okay, let's see. So let's add this. Let's create a new one called def load. Load, was it? Yeah, it will receive a URL. Now, I don't think this has to be here. This has to be outside the class. Okay, so I'm gonna do like this. I'm going to say, okay, body equals URL. I'm gonna pass example.org. It's actually No, I think we are right, but why is it passing the URL here? I don't understand that. Let me move this here. I don't think it should receive the URL because we already have it. Let me double check that. So what is request? Okay, I understand now. So we have to do this. We have to delete this. I'm gonna move this from here, and I'm going to create URL equals URL, and yeah, that's fine. So this guy, okay, this guy is going to receive the URL here. It's going to be just a function, and I'm going to create a new URL object. I'm going to pass the URL I have here, and no, I'm doing it wrong. So I understand now. So let me just delete this line. And I'm gonna have body, and it's gonna be dot request. So this guy will receive an instance of this class here directly. And let me delete this guy. And then it's gonna show the body. It's gonna call the show body. So I think it should be something like this. And then probably there's a main here. Yeah. So it's going to create a main function. And it's going to import sys. Okay. Then it's going to do, okay, load. I'm going to create a new URL object. And it's going to pass what we have in the first argument, argv1. So when we create, when we call our software, we're going to pass as a parameter a URL, and that will instantiate an object of type URL. And obviously, when you do that, you call this the constructor, and it will split all the URL, and it will save everything into their own variables. And after that, it's going to call the load function, which will receive that URL, and we'll call the method request, which is this one, which will do the actual request to that URL. And then it's going to return the content, and the content will be saved on this body variable. And after that, we're going to call the URL.showBody. So we're going to call the show method here. Where is it? Oh, this is wrong. This is totally wrong. Let me correct this. Okay. And that receives the body and will show it in the screen. So let's go to the other tab. Let me go to here, browser, and let me call, let me just do Python 3 main.py, and I'm going to do http example.org. Okay, it failed. Why? Let me see. Because it's splitting by these two bars. Okay. Let me go back. So not enough values to unpack. Okay, probably, I don't know if this is 1 or this is 0. No, this is 1. So I'm getting that. Let's do one thing. Let's add some print statement here. So let me see is arg v1. Let me see how this goes. If I go here and I call this guy again. Okay, so this is fine. It's passing that. Okay. But when I call this guy, for some reason, it fails here. It's telling me that. What is the issue here? Let me see. So it passes argv1 and it has to do a split. I don't understand what the issue is. Let me do something. Let me remove this from here. Let me save it. Let me run again. No, it is the same. It tells me that when it unpacks this URL, it only gets. Let's do one thing. So before we do this, let me do split. Oh, I think I know what the problem is. Let me check. So let me just print for anything lele in splitted. For lele in splitted, now I'll print lele. Let's see if this works fine. So the split goes well. What if I do it like this? So this works perfectly fine, but for some reason it doesn't like this. And what is that reason? Let me think about this. So URL split. Let me check what they have here, because maybe I messed it up in something very basic. URL split. So I don't get this. Let me think about this. So this print goes okay. So I'm going to remove it. Okay, we don't need it anymore. We can see the print is here. Then it splits into these two guys, and I'm going here. I'm splitting here. I'm saving everything in the same variable. So, but this variable is an array. Okay, this variable is an array. So this, I'm looping on it and I'm printing what I have. So this, if I do a len, and I'm going to do here len split. Oh yeah, obviously. And this is like this. Let's see. It's 2. So this split is has 2 positions. The first one is this. The second one is that. Okay, but then it doesn't like doing this, splitting into 2 different variables. Why not? Is there any syntax thing I'm missing? Let's check. Python split string into 2 variables. Yeah. Okay, now it's feeling something else. So for some reason, it didn't like rewriting itself, I think. It should be URL. Let me think about this. So it doesn't like this. So if I do, then it doesn't complain about that anymore. That's strange. Why? I don't understand why it does that. Let me replace this. No, I need it. So it seems it doesn't like rewriting itself. Like when I split this URL into another variable, it seems to work fine. Let's do one thing. Let's do print scheme. And then let's do print URL. Yeah, you see. But if I do this, then here, well, it will complain. Okay, no, that's not the problem now. Oh, I'm an idiot. I understood now what the problem is. I understood. Okay, so let me just delete this, and this is a problem. So I lost a lot of time with this, but that's fine. This is a problem. I don't need to split on this guy anymore. I need to split. Sorry, I made a mistake. So I need to split on this now. So let me move here. So delete this. Okay, now let me just try to troubleshoot this a little bit. Let's say something here, and let's say here split one, and then let's say for E in something. Okay. Okay, it seems it doesn't. Let me think about this. I think we have an escape problem here. Let me see. No. Okay, so this we only have this. Let me think about this. Let's do a print. Let's say that what we have now in the URL is URL. Example.org. Oh yeah, I'm an idiot. This is a problem. I'm not passing anything. So again, I'm a bit stupid today, more than normal, which is fine. I don't care. And okay, now yeah, okay, I'm good now. So let me see here. What is going on with this one? So it's complaining. It's telling me that the object socket doesn't have any attribute of socket. Maybe it's because I'm doing from socket import socket. But what if I do import all? Or what if I do this? What if I do import socket? Let's see. Okay, that's better. That's way better. Okay, so our browser is showing everything, including all this crap here, the CSS, but it's working. Let me clear this now. Yeah, I don't think I want it to show me everything. So why is it showing me everything? Let me see. If I'm passing this body, okay, and the content here should be response.read. Let me see what the problem is here. But for some reason, if I do this, let me check. It also works. The thing is that you need the bar at the end. Otherwise, not going to work. But why is it showing me everything? Like from the top, I don't want to see all these things. You know, I just want to see the content, like this thing here. So let me double check that. Let me double check that. So this response. Okay, so I think this is a problem. So this should not go inside this thing. Okay, let me run this again. No. Well, yes, that's a problem. I don't have the headers anymore. Let me just clear this. And I had that in place. Okay. So yeah, I think that was the issue. Let's see what else we have here. So we have this in place. Everything is okay. And now we need to add encrypted connections. So let me open this in another tab. This is at the HTTPS. Well, actually, this should be HTTP, I think. It just goes this way, TCP IP. So the IP, it goes back and it gives the response. But here in the middle, we have TLS for the HTTPS. So we need to support HTTPS. Well, it says it's the same, but the difference is that it is encrypted. Okay, it tells you that there's a library called SSL that it implements all the details for us. We don't have to worry much about it. So making an encrypted connection is almost as easy as making a regular connection. So for that, we need to accept some default settings, which could be inappropriate for some situations, but for teaching purposes, they are fine. Okay. So making an encrypted connection with SSL is pretty easy. Suppose you already have a socket. To encrypt the connections, you use SSL.create default context to create a context CTX, and use that context to wrap the socket. Yes, okay. So we import SSL, we create this context, and then we wrap the socket on that context. Okay, perfect. Let's do that. Let's go to the top. Import SSL. Yeah, I know. Wait a second. And then when we call the socket, okay, so probably this is the place. Yeah. Probably it's like this. I don't know. Let's see. So I'm thinking that we should do like CTX, and then we create the context here. Create default context. Okay, and then we do like this. We do CTX dot wrap socket, and we pass the same socket we created before, and we say server host name equals self.host. So now we need to check that our scheme is accepted. So we before had this. Now we need to make sure it's in either this or this, because otherwise it's gonna fail. And we need to assign the port dynamically, so we can do if self.scheme equals HTTP, then self.port equals 80, else if elif self.scheme equals HTTPS, then self.port equals 443, I think. And then whenever we're calling the 80, this one should be self.port. Let's see if there's anything else he wants to change. Yeah. Oh, okay. Only it has to be done after the. We have to wrap it with the SSL, but after we connect. Okay, let me see. So this is wrong here, and they should go here. Okay, but only if self.port equals 443, then this is what we need to do. Okay, let's see. Let me delete this. And now let's call this. It works fine, but what if I do it like this? It also works fine. Perfect. Then lastly, for today, we need to add support for 8080, for the port 8080. And I mean for any port, okay, so that we can pass this, so probably have to split on colon. So let's do that real quick. So let me go here, and now here, once I split it by the so let's do like this. If in URL, then we need to split by it. You have to say self host, then URL equals URL split 1. Okay, so let me think. Okay, wait a second. So okay, I got you now. So what it's doing here is after. Let me delete this and let me just do this. We already have the host. Yeah. We already have the host here, but it could happen that it contains colon. So if we do that, we need to split it, and it's gonna be like this. And yeah, I think that's it. Let's see. Yeah, I think it cannot even connect because I don't know if this. Okay, we can test it like this. Let me copy just this here. Go to another tab and paste this one. So let's say okay, so it's serving there. And let's go here to okay. Oh, it's not like this. It's 0000. Okay, let me check that. For some reason this is not working. Let me check. So That's line 44. It's not even. It's not even. Oh, probably this is the problem. Yeah, that was the problem. I had a mistake here. Okay, so this should be working for all examples. Let me go here. So we have example.org with HTTP. It works. HTTPS. It works. And let's go to our fake website. It works. So with that, we completed all the, I think we have the summary here. Yeah, we completed everything. So we have some exercises we should do, but I will leave that for another session, God willing. Okay, that's everything for this transmission. Hope you like the video, and yeah, if so, give it a thumbs up and let me know in the comments. Bye.